Okay, good morning, Kanto, or at least it's morning where I am. It's your second favorite mod, Vix. I'm always going to be second favorite behind M because M is amazing. And so I'm going to do the week 0 power rankings. I'm going to try to keep them updated like how me and M tried to do last season. We'll just have to see. No webcam. I can't figure out why it's working. I literally just woke up an hour ago, and honestly, I don't feel like troubleshooting that right now. I'm still tired. So I'm just going to do a quick rundown of all of our teams this season, just based on how the Pokemon are looking, how I think they're going to do this and that. I'm not going to expect any S ranks at all. Mostly a lot of A and Bs, and probably some Cs, maybe some Ds, but how it's going to work is that I'm just going to kind of give a rundown of everything, maybe give some examples of what I think would be good, and then maybe make some changes that y'all can make later on in the season. The main goal is to have eventually everybody be around A, B, S tier. So if you don't have a high ranking, it's not that I don't like you or anything, it's just I think your team could be better, and I'd like to see everybody at least up in these higher tiers. Kanto's a really strong division. Emma won the division last season, and then we even have a grand champion this time around. So Kanto's normally pretty strong, just kind of want to get everybody up to speed. Hopefully get everybody playing high, all that good fun stuff. I would have a script written, but all of my side projects are getting pushed back thanks to work, so in order to let me have some time to do other stuff, I'm just gonna freeball everything. I have some notes written for, I think, the first 3 teams, but not a lot. I just got tired of writing, and if I would have stayed writing, I wouldn't have been able to do any of my other side work, so I'm just gonna freeball everything, and hopefully I don't miss anything or mess anything up. So first on the board is gonna be our Alolan Araquanids. This is KJ's team. KJ is gonna be helping out a lot this season in place of M. Well, when M can't help, KJ is going to be helping out. So last season, if I remember correctly, I believe KJ went undefeated until playoffs. If I remember correctly. So he's definitely knows what he's doing over here. So just taking a look at his team, he has some solid Trick Room setters. Like we have Jellicent, really good Trick Room setter. Grim is also another very good Trick Room setter, so he has 2 good setters right there. And then other good like Trick Room sweeps he has would be like Dragalge, really good Trick Room sweep, and Greendon, a budget Snorlax, still really good. Altari is really slow, and that could work as a good support in Trick Room, or it could just be, you know, just a normal attacker, or it could work outside of Trick Room if you invest in some speed. So it's generally pretty good. We also have this Formosa right here, which is a little odd out since it's like the fastest out of this whole set. But it's a really good fast glass cannon, so if KJ's up against someone who has like a taunt Pokemon or someone that could stop his Trick Room, he could just lead Formosa, Scarf, or I don't know, something, and quickly take it out. But he does also have this Thundurus. So we have this Prankster, it's a good Prankster Pokemon. Not as good as Torn, but I mean, it is also good. It could help with speed control. So leading this, he could go into this, do general speed control without having to set up into Trick Room, but he can set up into Trick Room. But it's mostly going to be a Trick Room team. All these Pokemon are kind of in the slower tiers. We also have this Riolu, which can do some coaching shenanigans, very fun. Clink, it's obviously going to be clear body, so won't have any stat drops. Arena will stop priority, which will help them set up Trick Room and stop taunts. Mr. Mime can do some pretty weird, cool stuff, so this could be a pretty good team. These are a lot of solid picks here, and honestly, it's really hard starting off with a team that has this many picks that are this solid. Because it makes doing the tier list kind of hard, because whatever place you put this in, you kind of have to base everything around it, so it definitely makes everything hard, but this is honestly a really solid team. I really can't think of much to improve on, mainly because like this has a really good Trick Room mode, and it has a slightly okay outside of Trick Room mode, so maybe look into getting some more Maybe some more Pokemon that can function outside of Trick Room. Maybe a little bit better, but honestly, it is a really solid pick in and out of Trick Room. So for the moment, I'm gonna put KJ... I'm gonna put him low A tier, because I think it's a really good team. I can't really find anything that I would want to change or improve on. I don't really like Trick Room, but this is a really good Trick Room team, and it can function out of it, so I think that that's really good. So going on next, we have Emma, our favorite mod. Last season's Kanto Division champion. So she knows what she's doing. She's been around the block. She's in a lot of draft leagues. This is nothing new to her. And looking at her team, my god. This is a very strong powerhouse team. Like, I mean, Liberio Cinderace, very strong. AV Goodra can work wonders in Trick Room. You have Gale Wings, Fletchling for Tailwind, and then sacking it. Togepi has like a budget Togekiss redirector, but I mean, it works. Nidoking, Sheer Force, Life Orb, really good attack, some pretty good coverage. Articuno, Galar, you know, good competitive, good special attacker. And then Porygon Z. I mean, we know what this does. We know what these does. These are all really strong attackers, physical and special attackers. So she's coming in hard with the punches. Some good type variety. And we also have this G-Max Chonkachu for support. This gives us this will give us some Lightning Rod if we need it. Will she need Lightning Rod? I mean, she can use Lightning Rod, maybe if it's next to the Articuno. You wouldn't really use it for Fletchling, because it's just going to set up Tailwind and then die, so Static might be a little bit better. But G-Max Chonkachu will give double Paralysis, so that's good speed control right there. Rotom Mow is a pretty good grass type. If you can't get Rillaboom or Serena, Rillaboom's like one of the next best bets. Purrloin can be used as like a budget Liepard, which actually is a really good support Pokemon, so she has a really good support right here. Seismitoad can do some fun stuff, you know, this and that. So I would say this is a really good team. I won't really know. I'm not really sure what weird strats she has in mind. Emma can come up with some weird stuff, and she's always changing things up, always doing something weird. So I'm not even sure what she's going for with this. She has a lot of attackers and some good support. So I have no idea what weird shenanigans she's going to be up to. She knows, she has these weird things. She knows what to do. So I'm going to put Emma... I'm going to put her slightly above KJ, mainly because you don't know what she's going to work on. You don't know what's coming up. She knows what she's doing, just let her do her thing. So we'll have to see what weird shenanigans she comes up with. Okay, so next we have a new kid on the block, the Charmanders. So I don't know much about them. Like I said, they're new, so I'm just gonna have to go into it and kind of, I guess, maybe assume that they might not know much, or as much as like Emma or KJ or any of them. So right off the bat, I do see 5 ice type weaknesses, which normally you really don't want to see like a bunch of the same weaknesses in a draft league. But you wouldn't, but also looking at it again, you wouldn't really run like all of them together like on the same team. You might run like Vileplume and maybe Torn, or maybe Latias for like support. But you would never really bring all of your ice type weak Pokemon together. So it's not like the biggest thing to think about, but I guess it is something to think about, is to have some outs to ice types or ice type moves. So I would just be a little bit careful. We do also have a good Trick Room mode with Runegrigus right here. And we have this Berserk Drampa for the sweep in Trick Room. I know that they're really good in that. So that's always something to look into. But looking at the other like Pokemon, I don't really see much to do out in Trick Room other than just Drampa and Runegrigus doing things. Because these speed tiers are kind of on the higher side. So it wouldn't really function too well inside of Trick Room. And then, like, if you do look at, like, some of the other supporting Pokemons, like, Vileplume could give you some speed control with the, status spores, and also with effect spore, so that's something, you know. You know, you have Runagrugus, and then you're looking at some of your other slower tiered Pokemon, like, Blastoise can work in Trick Room, but it's not, like, it's okay. And then, like, Hitmonlee is a really good Pokemon, really good support, but I'm not really sure how well it'll function in Trick Room. Glaceon can give you with, like, some speed control so that you don't have to rely on Trick Room, but it's just, everything just seems, it's not really currently in place, currently. You do also have Koko, which you can build, like, a supportive Koko and just have it spam Electro Ball until, you know, you can outspeed or do anything with it. So you do have some options with Koko. It's just that, like, looking at, like, if you would want to bring a Trick Room team, I would see you bringing, like, Runagrigus, Drampa, and then maybe, like, maybe Koko, but Vileplume, and then, like, Liepard even. Wait, yeah, Liepard. But then, like, you would really have a lot of support Pokemon and not a lot of attackers, and honestly that's not too optimal, because if you lose that Drampa, then, you know, that's kind of game. Unless you, like, heavily invest every single resource into keeping Drampa up, running Trick Room really, honestly, isn't that viable, in my opinion. But I do think this team has a lot of potential, especially investing in Trick Room or not, or investing more in a fast mode, because Liepard is a really good support Pokemon. We've seen a lot of placings with Liepard on ladder and, like, at regionals, so we know Liepard's really good, has a really good pranks, really good you could run Prankster, or you could run it, like, Unburden with some seeds if you could run a terrain move. So Liepard really does shine here, and so does a good chunk of your team. It's just, these are all good pieces, you're just missing some pieces that could help it get further. I would probably look into maybe getting a Sunsetter even, because we do have this Vileplume right here that has access to Chlorophyll. It does have some good attacks. I mean, it's not as good as Venusaur, of course, but I mean, investing in the Vileplume as, like, a Sunsetter, that could also help you with some of your Ice type disadvantages too. So I don't know. I would maybe look into that. If Gmax Charizard is still up, I'd almost maybe think about doing that, so you can maybe get like a Sunsetter, or maybe set up, no, you can't set up Max Flare with Gmax Charizard. Okay, never mind. Or maybe a Pokemon, I do still think you could benefit from a Sunsetter. I think that'll be a cool strat to do. Have, like, an alternative win condition be a Vileplume in the back going Burr. But overall, I would say this is like a solid B tier team. There's some things I don't like about it, but there is a good core here that we could work with. Like, we have a good Trick Room core, we could bump that up some with some other picks, or we could maybe look into investing more in some outside of Trick Room mode. There's a lot of potential here, so I really do think that this is a good start. And this is also, I'm also doing this tier list after all the grace period picks have been done, so I did notice the 2 grace period picks that the Charmanders did. I really do think that they do benefit from those grace period picks, so throughout the season, I'd like to see this team grade a little bit higher. And moving on next, we have the Deoxyses. This is where my notes stop, so the rest of my notes are just pronoun notes. So, how fun. Okay, so the Deoxyses are new players on the block. I also don't know these people. Well, I also don't know this team. So, just taking a quick look at their team, Entei's a really good Pokemon. Regardless if you use Pressure, or Inner Focus is definitely the better ability, but Entei's really good. Gets Extreme Speed, gets Stab, Sacred Fire. You could also use Bulldoze and have a Proc Weakness policy, so Entei's really good. I like Entei. Araquanid, definitely need to be careful with this one. I actually got swept by an Araquanid in Season 1, I believe. I believe it was Water Bubble. I don't remember, but it was Trick Room. I don't remember if it was, actually, I don't remember if it was in Trick Room, but it was definitely, I definitely got swept by an Araquanid. So, from experience, gotta be careful with that. Alolan Persian. This has some good support moves. Technician also, if you want to do like some Fury swipes or whatever other multi-hit attacks it has. Sigalith, this also has Tailwind Setter, good support moves, ally switch, good fun stuff. Jolteon, this could Jolteon Volt Absorb can protect the Araquanid, can protect the Sigalith, so that's always good. Or you could also just use Quick Feed, but I think you'd honestly probably just use Volt Absorb. Very fast, not very good defensively, but it's a very fast Pokemon, hits hard, gets Electro Web, so that's always good. And then we have Dracoloak here. It's not Dragapult, but you could run it as like a budget Dragapult, so it could be either supportive, or just a main attacker. You'd probably want to run this supportive, especially since it's just the second stage. Definitely more probably want to run that supportive. And here we have the Rillaboom G-Max, our very favorite monkey friend. We know what this does. Can set terrain. It's obviously going to be Grassy Surge. Will set terrain, stab, Grassy Glide. You know, knock off, Wood Hammer. All that fun stuff that Rillaboom normally does. We also have Terrakion, the better of the three Swords of Justice, so this is definitely going to be doing some fun stuff. Oh, Persian gets beat up. Alright, yeah. So they also have a beat up setup right here. So that's going to be a fun thing to go burr. We also have this Copperajah. Very slow, kind of doesn't exactly fit so far that I see. It's a good Trick Room Pokemon, but other than that, I don't know, it doesn't really do much. Rapidash Galar is unfortunately, it didn't get as much love as it should have. It has a really good, Pastel Veil, if I remember correctly, has something really good that does, I don't remember what the ability does, but I know it does have something to do with doubles per se. So I believe it does have something that it could use, but like, it kind of got, it wasn't as good as it could have been. But I know this is a good supportive Pokemon on top of just being, you know, a normal Rapidash. And then we have Stoutland. Scrappy Stoutland, actually pretty scary. Also, Intimidate's really good ability, and you could also do like budget Sand Rush stuff. Unfortunately, it will get chipped by the sand, but I mean, it'll still be double speed and sand, so I mean, it's not as good as Excadrill, but I mean, it's pretty good. So overall, there are some solid picks here, some good synergies, like you have this beat up core, and Entei could proc a weakness policy off Copperajah. And you have some good support Pokemon. So I do think that this is overall, it is pretty solid. I do see some weird picks, like I'm not really sure what Dracoloak does. I mean, it could do some ally switch shenanigans, and like Will-O-Wisp, all that fun stuff, but I'm not exactly sure what its purpose here is. Neither Rapidash, I'm not entirely sure what that does. And Stoutland does work as your Intimidator, but it is a little odd here, because you also can run this with Sand Rush, and you really don't have anything that could use like a Max Rockfall. I mean, you have Terrakion. I don't know. But anyway, I'm just gonna go to the tier list, and so far on the tier list, I think I'll put the Deoxyses like low B tier. I mean low A tier. I see some really solid picks, and I see some really good synergies and strategies. I'm just not entirely sure exactly how all of this will pan out. I have a little bit more of an idea with how that's going to pan out with the Araquanids, but not as much as the Charmander, so I'm going to put it like low A tier. And Dragon Spars. Familiar face. So this lightning rod is going to be very important for protecting the Gyarados for being 4 times weak to electric. Very unfortunate for Gyarados. Swampert, I love this boy. This boy is amazing. Unfortunately, kind of slow. works. AV Swampert is apparently really good in Trick Room. I'm not using Swampert in Trick Room. I actually use Swampert for S10 as a support. Pretty good support. So Swampert can be used as a support or like AV in Trick Room. Weavile, really good support also. And speed control. Flapple is an interesting pick because this Hustle boosts. Hustle boosts are a really strong gamble. And I don't know if... I'm not brave enough to make that type of gamble, but I guess in a draft league this could be a pretty good gamble, because you gotta remember with Hustle Boost, you miss like 30% of the moves you hit. I mean, the moves you select, but the power is much greater. So you gotta be a little bit careful with Hustle, as it's pretty much gonna be a coin toss whether it'll hit. But if it hits, it'll be doing a lot. Sojourner has that really weird, interesting ability like Power Spot. I believe, if I remember correctly, it's basically like a permanent helping hands, but it has like no defenses, no real move pool, and it does kind of suck. But it has an interesting ability that could easily be exploited. You do also have this Whimsicott, you know, Tailwinds, really good support Pokemon. And then, like, you get Stab Moonblast in the off chance you need it. Arcanine. Arcanine's just a good boy. He can, do Intimidate stuff, be a support, or, since Whimsicott, I believe Whimsicott, no. Weavile gets beat up. And since we have a Justified here, we have another beat up Justified strat. Arcanine can do some stuff, he's a good boy. And, oh, we have 3 Justified Pokemon, oh lord. So, Beat Up Justified is definitely going to be a strat they're going to be using, regardless of which Pokemon they bring. Arcanine's going to probably be one of the best to use, since it just has such a varied move pool. Lucario's going to be like your second best. And then you also have this Absol here, that's going to probably be like backup. But Absol can probably just mostly be run as like a support, but... oh, that's going to be scary, having such a beat-up core. And then we also have this Aggron. Aggron's not that great, especially since it's lost its Mega. But, I mean, it does its job. So this team is very heavily gonna rely on using Beat Up Justified. I mean, I'd see no reason not to. You have 3 of the best, if not... okay, not exactly the best for Justified users, but definitely some of the better Justified users. Other than the Swords of Justice, so... beat up strat's gonna be important. They're gonna have good speed control with this Whimsicott. And also this Weavile, I mean... it can just Icy Wind that just to keep everything down. So this team's definitely gonna be playing, in like a fast mode. Speed tiers are a little on the... lower? Well, the yeah, I'd say the mid-size. Because with some speed investments, you could get to at least around 100 base speed. But then with like Tailwind and then Icy Wind, you'll be able to break that 100 to be able to outspeed anything. So, Trick Room is definitely going to be something you'll need to look out for. I can't recall which Pokemons have access to Taunt here. Because that's something that they're going to want to look out for, is like, if someone's going to try to set up Trick Room, they're definitely going to have to taunt that out, or be able to powerhouse through it. Because if they don't, they're going to be in a world of trouble. I think Weavile might get taunt, I'm not sure, maybe. I think Whimsicott does. I could easily be wrong. I honestly haven't played Ladder in like a month, because of work. I'm sorry. But, definitely... you're gonna want to look, if none of these Pokemon have access to Taunt, actually, Absol might. Definitely look for a Taunt Pokemon. Or maybe a Pokemon that has access to Trick Room to un-Trick Room your opponent's Trick Room. That would be something, that would be a pretty fun strat to do. But you're definitely not gonna want to play inside Trick Room with this team. So I think for the Dragon Sparse, I think I'm gonna put them between Emma and KJ. This is a really solid team. It does have a really good beat up strat, though that could be easily worked around, honestly. And Trick Room could easily shut it down. But it has a good amount of power output. So if you don't have enough time to set up and or stop it, you're just gonna get ran over. So that's why I'm gonna put the Dragon Sparks kind of higher up here, even though they can probably easily be stopped. Okay, and here we have another familiar face, the Los Angeles Luxrays. So first we have this Torkoal, very bulky boy, sets the sun, you know how that goes. We also have this Bronzong right here, pretty good Pokemon in Trick Room, so good Trick Room setter, so definitely Trick Room's gonna look like a viable option here. We have Tapu Bulu, the not as cool Grookey. It does its thing. It sets grassy terrain. It does now get Grassy Glide, so that's a good thing, but it's not as good as Rillaboom. But when G-Max Rillaboom's gone and you can't get Rillaboom, then, well, that's about as good as you could do. With the sun being set up, Cherim will be able to proc Flower Gift and change forms, so this is a pretty good sun mode. I don't know if I'd call it a good sun room, but it has the makings for a good Sunroom team. Obstacoon over here, I mean, not the best, but it has some good support move and it gets guts, so you could probably do some Flame Orb stuff with that. Girder can probably be run as like a budget conk back in the early season 1 days of VGC. VGC for Sword and Shield. Conk was heavily used as a good Trick Room sweep, so you could probably use Girder as a budget that. Also have G-Max Charizard, you know, that's kind of like a staple in Sun teams. Solar Power, plus you could also probably do Life Orb. It'll just do a ton of damage. Gastrodon, definitely going to want to be using that Storm Drain to redirect water to protect your Charizard and or Torkoal. Gastro is just a really good Pokemon. Dracozold's kind of an interesting pick. You can use the Volt Absorb to kind of protect like your Charizard and maybe your Unfezant. So it's kind of a weird pick, but I mean it can be used good. You're not going to really want to use the Sand Rush, especially since you're primarily going to be running a Sunroom team. Hustle is something you do got to be aware of. Hustle can work, but you got to be careful with it. Jinx give you some speed control with Icy Wind and some other good supporting moves, so Jinx was a pretty good support. And with Unfezant, of course, we're going to have our Tailwind setter in case we need to go Tailwind. But, we all know what that does. So, looking at this team, they have a really good a very strong Sun Core. We managed to get the Charizard, and we managed to get the Torkoal, which will do phenomenally. We also have the Gastrodon to protect them, so that does even more. We also have a really good Trick Room mode with Bronzong, and we do have some other good Pokemon that function well in Trick Room. We have Gastrodon. I'm pretty sure you've all ran into a stally, bulky Gastrodon in Trick Room on ladder, so we know how that does. And Torkoal can even do some damage in Trick Room, even though that's not really its job, but Torkoal can do some good right there. And then we also with the Skirter, even though it's not conk, it can still work as like a budget conk per se. So we have a team that functions well in Trick Room, but it will also function well without Trick Room because we have this G-Max Charizard. It can set max Airstreams. We also have this Unfezant that can set Tailwind. So this team functions well outside of Trick Room and well in Trick Room. So this is a pretty good team so far. Honestly, I would say this is probably one of the stronger looking teams so far, mainly because we have this super strong Fire Core right here. So I think I'm going to put Luxrays as our first and maybe only S tier so far. It's such a strong core. Yeah, this core can be easily crumbled if you know how to play against Sun, but this is going to be a very scary team to play against because you could either run Sun in fast mode, Sun Room with this Bronzong, or you can even maybe do like some hustle shenanigans, or there's a lot that can be done here, so you really will need to be careful with the Luxrays. And moving on to the Manteens. Manteens are our grand champions from last season, so this is definitely going to be interesting knowing this looking into their team. So far we have, you start with the bat, Moltres Galar, probably one of the better birds from this generation. I mean, Berserk plus like a weakness policy, that'll literally go burr and will take care of almost anything. So we also have Dusknoir here. It's not as good as Duskull, but this is actually he's actually a really good Trick Room sweep. I know I ran Life Orb Dusknoir, a lot of good coverage moves, and when it gets started, this thing can actually do a lot of work. So this is really good sweep. We also have Heatran. I know Heatran does really good in Trick Room also. She's pretty good also. Primarina is really slow, but also, I mean, it's pretty bulky. It's the bulkiest water type that's not Tapu Fini, so this is really good. Hitmontop has Intimidate and Fake Out, Bullet Punch, Mach Punch, so Hitmontop will definitely be a good support, but can also have priority attack. Marowak can protect Primarina, Moltres with Lightning Rod, and then can maybe come back and do some other fun stuff. But this is a good alternative Trick Room sweep. Not the best, but I mean, it'll work. Tangela, I know it can be like a weird pick, but I've seen some Eviolite bulky Tangelas do some weird stuff with Regenerator, and it has a big support pool, so this is definitely a threat to look out for. Tyrantrum Strongjaw can put in a lot of work, though I'm not exactly sure like what it really accomplishes here. Glalie, I've ran Glalie before. I've used Glalie in other draft leagues. Moody can do a lot, but it's definitely not the best Moody user, but the best Moody user, you know, is no longer in the game. But Glalie can do some weird attack stuff, and it's just in a weird speed tier. It does have a good amount of, like, it does get speed control with Icy Shard, with Icy Wind, but it's just in a weird place. Roserade can actually do some interesting stuff, I believe with Life Orb maybe, or I don't remember, but Roserade can actually can put out some damage. And Tauros, that Anger Point, once you get it started, it can do a lot. Tauros is very scary outside of that. Looking at this team, obviously looking at the speed tiers, this is definitely a Trick Room team. Or if not a Trick Room team, this is definitely going to have something that's going to benefit heavily from Max Airstream. I don't see any Tailwind setters, so that's a little weird, but they do definitely have like Icy Wind speed control with Glalie. But this team's definitely in a really weird it's in a very weird speed tier. Like, it's slow enough to benefit in Trick Room, but then it's also a little bit on the faster side that with, like, some speed investment and maybe a Tailwind setter, we could actually be doing some outside of Trick Room shenanigans. Though this team definitely screams Trick Room, unless you're bringing, like, Moltres. And I know that we do have some Trick Room setters and Dusknoir, because you can use that as an alternative. Dusknoir will work just as well like Duskull, but it's a little bit more stronger, so since Duskull will use that Eviolite and use like defensive bulk to keep it up, Dusknoir doesn't have as much bulk, but it's a little bit stronger in the attacking side, so you can easily use that as an attacker. So I don't really care for running Trick Room, so I don't know the most about running Trick Room, but I do know that this is a pretty solid Trick Room team. I'm not exactly sure what I would do to change this. I would maybe look into getting some other Pokemon that'll function well outside of Trick Room, like some other Pokemon that can help benefit Moltres a bit. Because, like, if you would bring Moltres, you would probably also bring you'd easily bring Hitmontop for, like, some Intimidate, fun stuff. You'd also probably bring Marowak to Protected, maybe. And then, like, you have some other good, strong, supportive picks, so maybe you look into the Moltres a little bit more. But definitely a really strong Trick Room presence. Expecting to see a lot from the Manteens, especially since they were the Grand Champions. I'm gonna start the Manteens off at, like, I think I actually want to put them in, like, a high B tier. Mainly because I'm not entirely sure what their strat is. I know they're working on, I know they have something. I'm just not entirely sure what this is, what is going to be happening. I'm going to try and update the tier list, like, weekly, obviously. So, definitely, I'm expecting to see some changes. I'm just not entirely sure what the game plan is here. But I know that they weren't saying anything to keep their strats hidden. I know they were kind of talking about something with Heatran, but they didn't want to go too into it because that was, like, some of their strats, so I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing more from the Manteens. I'm just not entirely sure. And here's another familiar face, the properly spelt Manila Brave Aries. Spelt correctly. I'm sorry, I'm not good at spelling. Okay, so looking at this team, very scary Unga Boonga here. Guerrilla Tactics is going to be the better ability here. You're not really going to want to run Zen mode. You can, but you're mostly going to want to run, like, Guerrilla Tactics with, like, a Scarf or maybe even Life Orb. The Fire Ghost Ultra Beast, really fast, but this is even more of a glass cannon than Formosa. So that could just come in, kill something, and then, you know, immediately die. Sneasel's really good support Pokemon. Inner Focus is going to probably be the ability you want to use. Fake Out, Icy Wind, you know, that fun stuff. Ditto can be a very interesting pick with Imposter. If you can kind of try to read in what Pokemon your opponent's going to bring in, Ditto can easily turn the tides, but it can also work against you. You just have to be careful with it. But a good Scarf Ditto can do a bunch of stuff, and it'll also give you valuable team information. Berserker's a weird, interesting pick. It's not something I would have imagined or picked. I'm not exactly sure what it does. I mean, Battle Armor and Tough Claws help out, but I don't really know what support moves it gets, so that's a interesting ability. Also kind of the same thing with Starmie, like, Natural Cure is a pretty good ability. Analytic also can be pretty good. I'm just not entirely sure what Starmie does. I'm pretty sure it might get access to Trick Room with it being Psychic, but I'm not sure. I don't know if you'd even want to run Trick Room with that. I'm not entirely sure what Starmie does. But our very favorite Colossal G-Max has also been picked here. So, Steam Engine, we know how Steam Engine goes. You know, Steam Engine goes burr. Oh, that's what Starmie does. Starmie probably has Aqua Jet. Or like, Water Shuriken, maybe. I don't know what all the movesets Starmie has, but it's gonna proc the Steam Engine. Herpeter. Maractus here as Water Absorb. After setting up the Steam Engine, you can put in Maractus in here to help protect this Colossal from this, ×4 water weakness. So that could be something good to do. Also in the Sun, Chlorophyll can help it do some stuff. I'm not exactly sure what it does. It might just be a good support, but the abilities could work really well with this team. We also have G-Max Venusaur. Obviously, you're going to want to run it with Chlorophyll. So after getting your sun set up, you can, you know, have it do really fast sleep powders or sludge bombs. So Venusaur is going to be pretty good here. And here's our Sunsetter, the Drought Vulpix right here. It's pretty much going to be what it's going to do is mostly just set up Sun, maybe do some support moves. It might get fake tears, but for the most part, that's what Vulpix is going to be doing. Mesprit's an interesting pick here. I think this is going to be the Trick Room setter. This is definitely going to have Ally Switch also. So this is definitely a team that can function in Trick Room with Colossal, but also outside of Trick Room with Venusaur going Burr with speed, and then we also have some good speed Pokemon that can do a bunch of damage output. So overall, this is a fairly solid looking team. At first glance, it wasn't kind of obvious, but after looking at it, I can see some of the cores now. So this is a pretty good team so far. Definitely need to watch out for the Sun. Definitely might want to stop Sun or anything because that Venusaur is just going to take it and go. This will also make this Colossal hit so much more harder. So that's just going to be something to think about. I think I'm going to put the Braviaries, I'm going to put the Braviaries before KJ, but after Dragon Sparse. I do think this is a really solid team with some really good potential, but some of the picks seem a little odd, per se. Like, Ditto can work, but Ditto seems a bit odd. Berserker kind of works, but also seems odd. Darmantane's actually really good. I'm just not entirely sure what it does. Because then you also have, like, this Sneasel, too, and Sneasel's a good support. But then, like, you don't really have much supporting the Darmantane. And then you could kind of just throw the Ultra Beast on the field, and it can maybe get 1 or 2 good hits in before going down. So it has a really very strong core. I'm just not sure what the rest of the team will do to support that. So moving on, we now have a new face in the mix, Pearth, the Cinescorchers. And I spelled Cinescorch right this time. So that's just something to remember. I can spell occasionally. So of course for the Cinescorchers, we have our mascot, G-Max Cinescorch. It kind of does this thing, but this is the mascot pick. So we also have a very good, we have Politoed here as our rain setter, good support Pokemon, Perish Trap, very fun stuff. We have Barraskewda as our Swift Swimmer. We'll definitely be taking control of this rain that's been set. Metagross will also really much appreciate this rain. So its fire type weakness won't be taken that much. Raikou here, I'm not entirely sure what Raikou does. I think Raikou has some really good support move pool. I think he has Electro Ball too, so I think that's a really good one. Hitmonchan, Iron Fist with Life Orb, I believe, does a lot of damage, and also you get all of the elemental punches, so Hitmonchan is a good, it has good coverage. Arduino's gonna have a really good support move pool, I believe, also with that Regenerator. He'll do good. I already talked about Metagross. Mimikyu, this is gonna be our, this has Trick Room. I know this gets Trick Room, but it also gets a good bunch of support moves, and it also gets that Stab Play Rough. So Mimikyu is gonna also do some pretty good here. Thwackey is gonna be your budget Rillaboom. Grassy Surge, we know what that does. That's probably all it's really gonna be used for. Noivern is gonna be, Noivern's actually really good here. We get access to Tailwind, and Frisk will let us know what items the opponent has. Has some good stab dragon moves. And I believe it also gets some other good coverage moves, so Noivern's actually pretty good here. And Rhydon, we also have this Lightning Rod. So this is going to be our protector for the Politoed and Barraskewda. So this is a pretty good pick on top of that. Just, you'd always want a good like Lightning Rod user in your rain team anyway. So this is looking, so far, this is a really strong team because we have this really good water core with a Swift Swimmer. And then also with this water core, we could also go with Metagross, and Metagross really likes this rain. And since everything's on the slower side, towards the mid-side, slower side, we could easily function well in Trick Room. And because Trick Room Metagross can do a lot of damage. I think Raikou might get Bulldoze too. I know Entei gets Bulldoze, so we could proc this weakness policy here. In the rain, it can do a lot of fun things. Mimikyu can set up Trick Room. Noivern also gives us... I'm pretty positive this gives us Tailwind. I'm pretty positive, because I want to say I've ran Tailwind on Noivern before, but I could be wrong. And then we also have this protection for the electricities. So overall, this is a very solid team. Really strong core, really good Pokemon that benefits this core, so I'm definitely going to put Pierce, above Emma. I'd say it's really close to being an S tier. The only reason I don't want to like put it in S tier right now is because looking back, I like the Luxray's team. Luxray's has a little bit more Pokemon that benefit that core, so I don't want to put Pierce in that core just yet. Maybe make some changes with this Arduino. Maybe Thwacky, I don't know. I know you're using this for your mascot pick, but I'm not entirely sure. But you could probably pick something else in tier 4 that could help benefit this rain setup thing you got here. But this is definitely, this is very close to being an S tier team. Very, very close. Okay, and here we have another new team on the block, the Ryukyu Storm. Another one of our Japanese friendos. So, looking here, we have Titar, one of my favorite Pokemon. You're going to want to run Sandstream. You can do some fun Unnerve stuff, but you really need that Sand Up, because it's just so frail. Can be run as an attacker, or you can run it as like a support. I like running it as a support. We have normal Lapras. I think we can get Aurora Veil here, but we'll need Hail setup, and unfortunately this is not Gmax Lapras, so that's something we'll need to think about. Kangaskhan, very good with Life Orb, or like with Scrappy. Proccing Scrappy is really good, and our Focus is also good. Fake Outs, I think it also gets Mach Punch, so this is a really good pick. Turtonator can do some fun things with Shell Armor, but this is mostly going to be an attacker. I don't know what kind of support moves this has. And Luxray, the mascot pick. I heavily used Guts Luxray in Season 1. Yeah, Season 1. I used Guts Luxray Season 1. Can do a ton of damage. Has some good coverage moves, but definitely Guts Luxray is something to look out for. If you're not prepared for it, this thing can run through your team. So Luxray needs to be watched out for. Claydol, good support moves. I believe it gets access to Trick Room, and I want to say maybe Ally Switch, but I'm not sure. So Claydol's pretty good here. And then we have Togekiss, one of the best redirectors. That's not a Moongus, but it's definitely a really good redirector. Good coverage, can be supportive, can be an attacker. Overall, really good. We have Gallade here. We have two justified users in Gallade and Virizion. I don't see any beat up users though, however. I think Gallade gets beat up, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe Lycanroc does. I don't remember. I think those are the two beat up users, but we do have this justified core. Virizion isn't the best Sword of Justice, but it's definitely really good. We get Stab Leaf Blade. So that Stab Leaf Blade is going to be very good against that, against Pierce's team. So that's something to look out for. Like I said, Lycanroc Rock can really do good in sand, so we have a sand core. Not the best, sand sweeper, but it works. And then Registeel also will heavily benefit from this sand. It's very defensive, very bulky. I've seen some teams where Registeel can just go burr. So, this definitely is a very good team so far. My only weird, confusing picks that I'm not entirely sure of are gonna be this Turtonator and this Gallade. I think the Gallade is gonna be the beat-up user for Justify. I think that's what it does. But I am not entirely sure. I don't know its moveset right off the bat, and I don't exactly have time to go dig around for it. And I'm not entirely sure what Turtonator does besides just complete this Fire Water Grass core. So I really do think this is a very solid team also. Because we have Sand Mode, we have Lapras can maybe set up Aurora Veil, that could help us, and then we could go into Sand Mode. Kangaskhan can do a lot of damage, Guts Luxray does a lot of damage. So you can also do some fun strats where you can set up electric terrain to stop like falling asleep after you've already, or right before your Guts boost will proc. I've done that a lot. That's pretty fun. And then Togekiss is just really strong too. So I think looking at Ryukyu, I think I'm gonna put them above Dragon Sparse and before Brisbane. Really solid team. But there can make some changes that'll just push them above into the S tier. They're also like really close to being S tier as long as Brisbane. So these teams are really good so far. Okay, and we have another new face, the Solacean Swift with Little Jirachi, unfortunately restricted, can't be drafted. Sableye, pretty good pick. Trankster, good support abilities. Azumarill, you can build this pretty much anything with Thick Fat, Huge Power, or Sap Sipper. Azumarill's honestly just really good. You could do like some belly drum sets. You could do some fun, it can just proc, like, weakness policy or something. Azumarill can do a lot. Aerodactyl, I believe this is the Trick Room. This is the Tailwind setter. I believe it gets access to Tailwind. It does also get some other good moves as well. Diggersby, this is another belly drum setter. I mean, not belly drum setter, but belly drum user, so give it with Cheek Pouch or even just Huge Power. That can also do a lot. We have Fungus for redirection, of course. Not as good as Amoonguss, but it does pretty good things. We have our Intimidator with Quillfish. Regieleki, probably the fastest Pokemon in the draft. Electroweb, it just goes fast. Also have Blaziken that's going to be speed boost, good amount of coverage moves. So Blaziken's going to do a lot. Bisharp, you're probably going to run as Defiance. A good amount of coverage moves, good attacker. All that fun stuff. Alolan Executor, I know this has Trick Room. I know this one does for a fact. So this can easily be our Trick Room setter for like this Azumarill. Well, also Sableye can do it too, but this will also be running Trick Room for Azumarill. Maybe even for Diggersby. Or even for like Throw even. Throw's gonna mostly be like a support, has wide guard, but you can do like some gut stuff, but that's mostly gonna be a support. And you can do some stuff. You're mostly going to run Frisk, but you can do some fun strats with Harvest as well. But you're mostly going to probably run Frisk. This is going to be a Trick Room setter. So overall, this is going to be like a Trick Room team with an occasional maybe Fast Mode with Aerodactyl setting Tailwind. And then you also have Regieleki that can just go and do Electro Ball stuff and or do Speed Control and have it just do some stuff. But my only concern is here, there isn't much here outside of Trick Room. Like, Blaziken is very good, especially with Speed Boost setup. So Blaziken will be doing a lot. Regieleki will do a lot, and so will Aerodactyl. But like outside of that, there really isn't much like to function outside of Trick Room. I mean, maybe Bisharp, but it'll probably be going second. So I do think this is a pretty good team. I mean, especially with like this huge power, and we get Trick Room. We have 2 huge power users in Trick Room, and plus some good support. So I think this is a really good team, but I think that it might need a couple of picks just to finish it out. Like maybe look for a replacement for Throw, or maybe for Bisharp, or maybe even Quillfish. Those would be like the 3 Pokemon that I would look to maybe swapping and upgrading. But overall, I really do think this is a good team. This is a very solid team. I'm just thinking it's missing a few things here and there. So I think I'm gonna put Solaceon. I'm gonna tie them with Melbourne. I think they're both really solid, maybe missing 1 or 2 picks just to push them up. But really solid, looking good. So that's where I stand. And we have another familiar face with Tokyo. Okay, so we have Zapdos Galar. Defiant, it's not the best of the 3 bird forms, but I mean, it's still really good. Milotic, really solid pick, really bulky, competitive is a very good ability. You could also do some cute charm, but you're going to want to do competitive. Good speed control, good recovery, it's just bulky. So it's a good little fish, snake, dragon, Levianair, whatever. Cradily is also a pretty interesting pick. You know, it gets Storm Drain, so it can protect, I guess it could protect its Heatmor or Sandaconda, even. But there's not much that you would really want to protect from it, I guess. Orangua with Symbiosis, and it's Instruct. So it can attack. So Oranguru is a really good support with Instruct. Lopunny's seen better days. It lost its Mega, but it does have a good. It can put out a lot of power, especially with how did I run it? I think I ran it with something with Klutz, and I expect it to do a lot of damage. I don't remember. But Lopunny can be built really good. It's just kind of a weird pick. Mawwile's a pretty good Intimidator. It's kind of bulky. Its Steel type and Fairy type's really good, really good coverage. So Mawwile is pretty good. And we also have this Urshifu Single Strike G-Max. So we got the bear. This will hit through Protect, and it'll hit through Max Guard. Wicked Blow will hit for a critical hit every time. Really good. And then we have this Glastrier, the best, probably the best Trick Room sweep in the game currently right now. Ice Force is just really good, really strong, all that fun stuff. We know what Ice Force does. Toxtricity G-Max is actually pretty interesting, running it with Punk Rock. Because its G-Max move will either paralyze or poison your targets. So you don't know what it's gonna do, but both are really good abilities. Obviously, one is better than the other, depending on if you want speed control or chip. But Toxtricity is actually really good, especially with like Punk Rock, Boom Burst, Overdrive. It does a lot. It does a lot of damage. Sandaconda G-Max can actually set up Sand with Sand Spit, but you just have to proc it. But I'm not exactly. You might want to run Shed Skin, maybe. I'm not sure. But Sandaconda can work. It's a little weird pick. And Heatmor, I'm not entirely sure what Heatmorkin does. I mean, it does have your Fire, Water, Grass core. So overall, I do see some really good picks here, but I don't see too much synergy. Like, we have Ice Horse here, and we do have, I'm pretty sure Oranguru gets Trick Room. So we have a Trick Room mode, and then with Instruct, Ice Horse can, like, hit twice, so that's gonna be kind of crazy. But then, like, outside of that, there really isn't much, like, synergy involved, per se. Like, we have good picks here. Like, we have the Zapdos. Zapdos is really good, you know? We have Milotic. Milotic's a good, like, bulky, speed control, all that fun stuff. And then, like, Urshifu just does a ton of damage. And, you know, Toxtricity can actually do a lot of damage, too. But I don't really see, like, honestly, any synergy. It might just be I'm low on sleep, but I just don't see much synergy here other than, like, the Trick Room. And then with Trick Room, it's like Oranguru, Glastrier, and then, like, I mean, Cradily can do some stuff. Milotic's really good in Trick Room, but it is on the faster side, but Milotic's really good in Trick Room. So, I definitely think, again, if we're since we have the Ice Horse, we definitely need some more Trick Room support here. And definitely to build up that core. And then maybe look at, I don't think Zapdos gets Tailwind, but maybe look for, like, a Tailwind setter or something that can give you yeah, you're gonna want a Tailwind setter. So then you could have an outside of Trick Room mode with this Urshifu. And Urshifu can just do Urshifu things. So I think that's what you're gonna want to do. There's some work that can be done here, but this honestly isn't a bad start. I think I'll put Tokyo at, like, our C tier. Tokyo can easily be built. Can very easily be built and moved up in the ranks. Very easily. With maybe, like, a few picks, even. Even just, like, one pick or so can easily move up a rank. But there's a lot of potential here. I think we can do a lot here. So I'd like to see we can do some work here and make Tokyo good up. Okay? Okay, and here's another new face, Texas Tornadus. Okay, so very interesting team. Lowland Marowak, you know, we have Lightning Rod, but it's also very good Trick Room Sweep. Tangrowth, honestly really slow. You're gonna want Chlorophyll if you're gonna want it to do stuff, or you could have it, like, do Regenerator and do support stuff. Mamoswine's actually really good. So, Mamoswine's good. Vaporeon, pretty bulky water type, a little on the slow side, not as bulky as Primarina, but I mean, you do what you gotta do. Sock. I know Sock has Wide Guard, and I think it gets Coaching. So that's some fun support stuff Sock can do. Archops can do some stuff. I don't remember what its ability does. I don't at all, but I know it has some weird gimmick strat that you might be able to get off with. And we have normal Zapdos. You could do a lot of stuff with Static. Really good Electric type, so Zapdos is really good. Cresselia is a really good Trick Room setter. His Trick Room, Ally Switch, it's really bulky. It's kind of slow, so it'll do good here. We have Solicipede. Definitely going to want to run Speed Boost on this. I am not sure what else what support moves it has. I know it's going to have, like, some Stab, X-Scissor. Other than that, I'm not sure what it does. Focus Sash Shedinja with Wonder Guard can do a lot. It's unfortunately really slow, so this is definitely going to be one to run in Trick Room. I'm not entirely sure what move pool Shedinja has, but it's definitely something in Trick Room. And Lele is definitely Lele is definitely going to be a big pick here. I know I run Lele in my S10 team. Invested some speed. It's very fast. It's very strong. It gets a Psychic Surge. There's no reason to run Telepathy on it, but definitely Lele can do a lot. Also let you put Psychic Seeds on one of your Pokemon, so you can get that Spadef boost. So Lele is definitely gonna shine here. I definitely see both a mode in Trick Room and outside of Trick Room. I don't remember which one of these gets Tailwind. I think one of them. I know one of them has to get Tailwind. So we definitely have Trick Room mode. I mean, not Trick Room. We have Tailwind to make things go fast. We have Speed Boost, Solicipede. I'm not exactly sure, like, what other moves it has, but this can easily do some stuff. But then, like, we also can easily just throw, like, any other Pokemon up with Tailwind, and we should be moving pretty fast. Shedinja, you're just gonna invest everything into, like, attack and special attack and speed, honestly. There's no real point in putting investments anywhere else. And, Lele is definitely going to be doing a ton of damage here as well. So, like, I see some Trick Room synergy, and I see, like, some out of Trick Room synergy. But I do see, like, some questionable picks, per se. Like, we have Scoliope. I'm not entirely sure what that does. Cresselia is a really good Trick Room Pokemon. So, and we have, like, the Shedinja here, and we have, like, the Marowak to do some fun Trick Room stuff. We could even do some stuff with Tangrowth, even. But I don't really see, like, a good standout Pokemon that does a bunch in Trick Room. So maybe look into getting, like, a really good Trick Room, like, sweep or something, or maybe some more Trick Room support. Because Cresselia is really good in Trick Room. And then, whichever one, I don't remember which one of these gets Tailwind, but you're also going to want to invest in, like, a fast mode with Lele. Because fast mode, Life Orb, Lele will do a lot of damage, and I know that from experience, because that's what I use in Series 10. And you're especially going to want to give one of your fast mode Pokemon, at least, or one of your slow room Pokemon, the Psychic Seeds, so it can get some boosts off that Psychic Surge. Definitely very important. So I think for the Texas Tornadus, I think I'm going to put them in... I think I'm gonna put them, like, low B tier. I'd put them almost a little bit better than Tokyo, but not much. Like, there's a lot of good picks here. I mean, there's some good picks here, but there's some good work that can be done here to make it better. So I definitely want to see this team improve too. And I think that there's room for improvement here also. Okay, and rebranding. Another familiar face, we have Archer and the Westmead Whimsicots. So up first we have the Gigas and Weezing combo. We know what that does. That does a lot of damage if you're not prepared for it. That will run over you. Dragonite, I think Dragonite's really bulky, and I think it has a good support moveset. We also have the Paliswan Escalvier core. We could Water Shuriken this Water Compaction up to 5 times, so that'll really beef up this Palossand. We have Fletchlinger for that Gale Wings, Tailwinds, Trevenant, the Trick Room, Frisk also, and I think you could also do some fun stuff with Harvest. Defiant Farfetch'd, I think it gets Tailwind also. I know Dragonite gets Tailwind. We also have Avalugg, so this could do some good in Trick Room as well. Stack, obviously one of the better Trick Room Pokemon. And Mr. Mime, I think that just has a bunch of good support moves. So I don't have much to say about this team. This is a very strong team. Because we do have a couple of modes. We have really good Weezing Galar mode and Regigigas. We have strong Trick Room with Trevenant, Stock, Avalugg. We also have this Water Compaction mode with Palossand and Escalvier. We have Tailwind. So, Whimsicots, this is a very strong team also. Very, very strong. I think I'm going to put them also as our S tier teams, mainly because there's a lot of things they can do here, and there's a lot of things that they can do here, and they can excel at a lot of things with the picks that they have. So definitely, this is going to be one of the scarier teams to fight up against. We have another new face, the XXXX attack. So sorryWe can pretty much be whatever type they need with the discs. So sorryWe can fill any niche it needs. I'm not sure what coverage it has. I've never really used one before. So, okay. Pixelate, Throat Spray. Sylveon can do a lot of damage. Volk is a really good pick. We have Quiver Dance, you know, one of the best moves. Bug Buzz, Stab Bug Buzz, Stab Heat Wave. It also gets Rage Powder, so Volk is a really strong pick. Either way it can do. Morgrim can be a budget Grim. It also has Frisk, so lots of good support moves here. Misharna, good bulky tail Trick Room mode. Sharna's really good, has some good support moves. Manectric, let me see. Yeah, you could run either Static or Lightning Rod here. Lightning Rod would only really benefit the Celesteela, but Static also works here. This has okay amount of coverage moves. I know it gets Wild Charge and Flame Charge, so it does work here. Dragapult, another really strong pick, can be built like a support, or it can be like an attacker. You know, Will-O-Wisp, Ally Switch, but then it also gets like Phantom Force, Dragon Darts, you know, all that fun stuff. Celesteela, very bulky, kind of slow, but it can do a ton of damage, especially if you like let it set up its Leech Seeds and like, I believe it's Giga Drain or Recover, I don't remember. It's a really good, strong, bulky recovery Pokemon. Mudsdale, another good, slow, Trick Room Pokemon, good with stamina. I know this gets Bulldoze, so it can proc a Weakness Posse, or it can be procced. Contrary, Lurantis is actually really good. You can just spam Leaf Storms and have its attack just skyrocket. And then we just kind of have Beware to round this out. Okay, so overall, I really do think this is a solid team. We have really good Trick Room modes. With like, we have Misharna to set it. We could even set it if we want to with Dragapult even. But then we have like Celesteela, Mudsdale, even Lurantis even, to just go in and do some crazy things. Or we could go like fast mode with Volk, like heavily invest in speed, get some Quiver Dances up. Maybe get it protected here and there, and then just have it go do its own thing. Sylveon has a good amount of support. Definitely has the most special attack, I'd say, out of the evolutions, except maybe Umbreon. So I definitely say this is a pretty strong team. I would maybe look into investing more into like the outside of Trick Room mode, because I see a very strong Trick Room core. And then I see like some really good pieces for out of Trick Room. So I would suggest maybe looking into get some more supporting pieces to help for outside of Trick Room. Like you can get, if you want to build Volk to be a sweeper, you can get a redirector or something so that it can go do some crazy things. Or you can get a Tailwind setter even to have Volk just go doing crazy things. So I think this is a really strong core. We're just missing like a few pieces here and there. I think I'm gonna put them... I think I'm gonna put them like low A tier. I put them on par with the Solution Swift, but I put them a little bit higher. Primarily because, like, we're right there at the mark. I just think that we could use a little bit more to bump it up some. And last but not least, we have the Dracofish Supremacy. So we have Talonflame, Gale Wings, it gets priority, Tailwind with Gale Wings. Duraludon can do some fun stuff. Stalwart can be pretty good to avoid redirection. Thundee T with Volt Absorb. that can protect Talonflame if you want. It could also protect Dracovish, but you're really going to want to protect the Dracovish. Exceligor, it can do some, this is going to kind of be like a glass cannon. It's really fast, but it's not going to live most anything, unfortunately. Zoroark can do some fun illusion-based stuff. I'm not entirely sure what its move pool looks like. I can't remember off the bat. Meowstic female with competitive is definitely going to be really good. I know this gets Trick Room, and I know this has some other good support moves, so Meowstic's definitely a good pick here. 9 times out of 10 we're going to be running the Strong Jaw Dracovish, probably with Vicious Rend or something along the lines. Maybe with a Scarf, maybe with a Life Orb, but Mr. Fish is going to be doing in a good chunk of the work right here. Though a fun strat to think about is also a Sand Rush Dracovish. I know I ran that in my my Sunstorm team, and surprisingly, Sand Rush Dracovish isn't that bad. It's not as good as Excadrill, but I mean it can do a chunk of damage. And now we have Ghost Horse. Ghost Horse, really fast, but this is also kind of a glass cannon, but with Grimnate, it'll just keep getting stronger and stronger. Definitely want to give it some Tailwind to just keep it going burr. So, Ghost Horse, really good. Magnezone, pretty bulky, kind of slow. I know this has a good amount of supporting move pools. Toxicroak can be a pretty interesting pick, especially if you have dry skin up. You could do either you could have it have Rain and set Rain, so that Rain could also help your Dracovish and it'll also heal the Toxicroak. Or you could just keep up with Anticipation or Poison Touch. But Toxicroak does have a good amount of coverage. And Eldegoss can be used in a few places. I'm not too familiar with it, but I can't really think of its moveset, but I know you can do a couple of different things with either Cotton Down, Regenerator, or Effect Spore. So you could do a lot with this. So far, this team has a lot of really good pieces. We have some good support for the Dracovish. But then we don't have too much support for the Spectrier. I mean, we have the Tailwind up. But we don't have, and I mean, we do kind of have Ally Switch, I believe, with Zoroark, or I think Magnezone even. But I think this is a really solid team that could benefit from a couple of other picks. Maybe swapping out the Duraludon. Maybe the Zoroark even. Exceligor maybe. But I do see that this team has a bunch of potential, and this can be a really good team, especially if you get this, setting up the Spectrier or the Dracovish. I think I'm going to put Dracovish, tying it with the Siliceon. It's really close, and it is right there. It is, right there. So close. So, this is how I think. So, this is my power rankings. Based off of week 0, no results yet, just picks. This is what I think it looks like. A lot of teams can use some improvements, even just 1 or 2 picks here and there. Some teams might need a little bit more, but I would like to see all of these teams eventually be in the A and B tiers. I mean, we're already almost there to begin with, so that's really good so far starting out. Kanto's a notoriously strong division, so I'd like to kind of see that keep happening. We just have a lot of great players, and there's a lot of creativity in the division, so hopefully this will be good so far. This is just what I think. I think that there's a lot of improvements that can be made. I'm available for any help. I know Emma can be around for help too, and any other mods can be around to help if you need anything, so just feel free to send us a DM if you need any help with anything, and this is my power ranking, and I hope we have a good season, okay?